Hi, everyone. It's Tim Shriver joining you from the Sunday paper and from Unite and from America's Classrooms to continue our discussion, to continue our chance to learn from America's teachers. I'm going to be joined today by Kori Sanchez Smith, and at this moment, I'm going to see if I can bring her in. Stand by 1 second, everyone. Welcome, 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 everyone. Just a sec. I might just say how much I've been excited by the recent events surrounding the People's Filibuster. For those of you that are not aware of it, we've been launching a campaign with thousands and thousands of Americans, there's Kori, who are joining the conversation around gun safety. Republicans and Democrats, completely bipartisan, trying to find ways to find common ground around our response to violence in our country. So for those of you, Kori, I was just filling the time a little bit until you could join, but welcome. I was just suggesting everyone, if you have a chance to go to 24/7, the People's Filibuster, you too can join in sharing your voice about how we right now as a country, as citizens of the country, can weigh in with compassion, with dignity, with empathy for all, but also for action. But enough on the filibuster. I'm thrilled to be joined by Kori Smith. Kori, I already mentioned that you're a world-class teacher. You're a former fifth grade teacher. You're an SEL, social and emotional learning devotee. You're a person who trains teachers all over this country and trains them to become great social and emotional learning educators. And as everyone that joins this, I hope knows, our goal is to find the best of America's teachers and give them a chance to teach the rest of us, not just their students, but the rest of us, the lessons we need to confront the divisiveness and polarization and the despair that many people feel, with skills and with competence and with compassion, so that we, the adults, can become agents of welcome for everyone and not just ask our kids to fight bullying, but that we can be opponents to bullying too. So with all that, welcome, Kori.
Well, thank you. And that's quite an introduction, Tim. Thank you. I agree wholeheartedly. And I believe that we tackle the bigger issues with small steps. And what I'm proposing is that we talk about one small step around problem solving, which is really timely, right? How do I look at something, decide how I feel about it, take the steps that meet my core values in order to make the biggest impact on the world, right? So one of the strategies we can use in a classroom with students is 5 why. Actually comes from the business world, but absolutely applicable in a classroom setting. So what I'm going to do is ask you in a second, get prepared, to think of something you are wondering or curious about, maybe something you'd like to try or do, but really you're still figuring out how you want to move forward. So you tell me when you're ready, and we will go through the 5
So this is something, just so I understand, this is something you would take to fifth graders, or you could take to fifth graders when they're facing challenges or when they're facing goal-setting opportunities or moments in their lives, and you would show them how to use these skills to tackle problems that even I dare say a fifth grader can handle, right? So I should be able to do this.
You are qualified, yes.
Okay.
This is something that I would absolutely do in fifth grade, but I wouldn't stop there. I would continue in secondary school as well, because this practice of identifying the steps to a problem is lifelong. It's something that I do as a mother. It's something I would do with my husband if we're looking at things together. So yes, this is something where you're really trying to get down to the root of a problem or concern, or really what you're excited about, so you know how to move forward.
Got it. Okay. So you're asking me what's something I'm curious about or thinking about right now.
Yes.
And then you're going to help me try to figure out how to address it.
Yes, I'm going to facilitate. But as every educator has as a goal, eventually you'll be able to do this independently. So this is something
and maybe eventually I could teach it if I'm good, right? Okay.
You will absolutely be able to do that. Yes.
Okay. So so here's one. I was reading this morning about, I think this is the 3rd year as a country we're celebrating Juneteenth. And so we have a federal holiday on Monday. And there was a poll I saw that said, Americans are supportive of the holiday. Some don't understand it or don't necessarily agree with it. But the number that struck me was that a lot of Americans don't know how to celebrate Juneteenth. And I thought to myself, I don't know how to celebrate Juneteenth. I know of the historical story. In fact, I taught it a little bit when I was a secondary school social studies teacher, but I don't know how to celebrate it. And I was thinking, I'll be with my wife, my kids, maybe even a grandson. What do we do? I don't know. I'm a little perplexed. I want to do what feels right for me, but I also want to do what is respectful and consistent with our national process of healing and reconciliation in a way that makes some kind of difference, or at least helps me to add my voice to the larger voices in the country trying to lead us forward. So what do I do?
So you gave a couple different starters. Let's answer this very simple question first. Why would you want to celebrate Juneteenth?
Well, I want to celebrate Juneteenth because I think it's an important milestone in our country's history, and because I think it recognizes that the pathway to freedom is still a challenge for us today.
So why is it an important milestone in our nation's history?
It's an important milestone because it celebrates, or it recognizes, that the promise that the United States made to its citizens who had been enslaved of freedom actually didn't reach them when the promise was written. It only reached them some months and even years later in some situations. And when it finally reached them, it became a cause of celebration. And I think what could be more exciting than finding out that your country has finally accorded you the rights and responsibilities of citizenship that it accords to everyone else, or should have accorded you from its conception. So I think it's really an important moment to celebrate and to recognize how difficult this achievement of freedom has been for many, many, many Americans.
So why would you want to celebrate something so difficult in our nation's history?
Well, I want to celebrate things that are difficult because only things that are difficult actually help you grow, I think. I want to celebrate things that are difficult because you can learn from them. And until we learn from difficult moments, we haven't actually allowed them to teach us what they need to teach us. I want to celebrate something difficult because I think it also has a lot of hope in this celebration. Yes, the horrors of slavery are embodied in the celebration in some way, and the ineffectiveness or the insincerity of the United States government is also involved. But there's also this promise that occurs over and over again in our country's history when we do expand the opportunities that freedom promises. And I think this is one of them. Yes, was it successful? Absolutely not. But was it a promise that, at least in its smallest of steps, brought some hope to people and brought some change to the country? I think it did.
So why is it important to recognize the promise of America?
Because I think the promise of America is really important to the world, and it's important to me, and I have members of my family who have died for it. And I think the ideal of a country that is free, that is based on equality and dignity for all, I think that ideal, though never fulfilled, is a central hope for the world. And I think it's worth fighting for and defending and celebrating. And
so why would you celebrate this hope that you have for the world?
Because I think for me, it's at least in the non-religious dimension of life and the political side of life, it's the greatest hope we all have, to be free and to be seen as who we are, to be accepted and welcomed as we are. I think that's the promise of our country, and I think it's a very inspiring one, and it's a very challenging one because we haven't fulfilled it.
So then the question for you, the final one is, you've gone through 5 whys.
Yeah, how am I doing?
You're awesome.
This is hard. It is hard.
But what you've decided is one of your core values is to hold on to the hope of America. It's important to you and your family and the people that have lost their lives in this country. And so celebrating Juneteenth is a part of that commitment you have to your family and your values. So which way would you need to celebrate to hold on to that core value? What would be a celebration that you're experiencing your own joyous appreciation of hope in America?
It's a great question. So I think maybe one thing I could do is maybe we could print out for Monday morning, we could print out maybe something we could all read together at breakfast, if I can get everybody up by breakfast. Something about the history of the moment so that we would all be able to put ourselves in the shoes of those who felt like they were feeling the promise of freedom for the first time. So we could do a little history. And then maybe we could do a little share in our family about the promise of America and what we're all doing to try to make it real right now in this country. Maybe that's just a little 15, 20-minute conversation if we could get kids and adults together that might be really meaningful.
So you did it. At the core of your celebration of Juneteenth is honoring hope for America.
No, you really, that was masterful, Kori. I mean, I wasn't such a good student. I rambled a little bit, but that's a masterful and really powerful exercise. It seemed like you did it almost, you were able to hear in what I was saying key points, right? You were able to find the power in a way, you know, the Sunday paper, my sister's message is always news above the noise. You were able to find the message above the noise, at least my version of it, and help me to distill it in a way that gives me some clarity about how and what I want to do on a really important day. That otherwise, I got to be honest, I might have just woken up and said happy Juneteenth and then gone about my business, gotten on my computer and gone back to work. But now you've given me something real. I'm very, very grateful.
Well, I'm glad that you found something that's meaningful to you. And just as a tool of the trade, when you're starting the 5 whys, write down what comes out of this stream of consciousness and then highlight or really dig into the juicy parts. So because I've done it a couple times, I was able to really hear, like you're saying, through the noise into the core of your message. And I'm actually really excited for how you're going to celebrate Juneteenth with your family. I think that's perfect.
Yeah. So, well, listen, that's a master class from Kori Sanchez. It's a master teacher at work. I want to thank you for teaching me. I want to invite you to share with our audience if there are places people can go to learn more about what you do, how you train teachers, and maybe even to learn more about this exercise, the 5 whys. How can people get more information and deepen their own understanding of both this skill and others that you teach, Kori?
Sure. So my company's name is Heart Shift Consulting, and I'm available through my website, Heart Shift Consulting, or I am very active on LinkedIn. So Kori Sanchez Smith, and I'd love to be of service to anyone who wants to help children live choice-filled lives.
That is so. And how about individuals? If they need help, can they call you like at? Do you have a personal service for families or for couples or for relationships or for workplaces? It sounds like you could help us all in a lot of different ways, but I'm only kidding in part, but really that was such a beautiful exercise. And I'm just taking a deep breath and feeling a lot of gratitude.
Well, I'm grateful for you, and thank you so much for including a holiday in your own life that's really important to me and my family. It means a lot to have support, you know, for the history that we're all growing through so that we have a different outcome moving forward. So thank you.
Absolutely. Kori Sanchez Smith, thank you very much for joining us. Next week, we'll continue this conversation. And if I have any guesses, a lot of people are going to be writing saying, bring back Kori. That was fantastic. Thank you, Kori. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Sunday Paper team. We'll look forward to continuing these in the future.
Bye.
Bye.